This is the fun part again about having your 10-year-old as co-host. We found my 5-year-old in the closet sleeping, taking a nap.
So Mavens is sleeping in the closet.
So there he is. Or two.
Sure.
Okay. You
Hey,
wanna say
Memphis.
hello?
No, don't tell them.
We can go find Daddy.
No.
Nobody can drag me down. Nobody can drag me down.
Welcome to Cold Call, where we inquire to inspire. I'm your host, Talia Coleman, and this is my co-host, Mavens Coleman, my oldest son. And today we are honored to welcome David White Jr. and Dan White, who are brothers, and they work for President Biden. Both are graduates of the United States Military Academy. David earned his JD from Harvard Law School, and Dan just last year earned his Master's in Public Administration from Columbia University. Our families go way back to probably the 1960s. So we consider ourselves family and really excited to have them on the show. We'll help you to build that discipline to be so successful.
Yeah, particularly our dad, he would always say, dig deep, when you're trying to go into a task, go into it with everything that you have. And I think we were just very fortunate to have a support system of our parents, and then also of, families and friends who wanted to see us succeed, and I think that was important, whether it was, when we were younger, going to, visit you and you were at work, in Baltimore at Under Armour, to see like, okay, hey, here's the realm of the possible. And I think that's really an important thing is to show kids and even to show young adults and even to show everyone that anything is possible that you want to do. And, there will be trials and tribulations, and there'll be some systemic challenges that, ensure that you will be able to face, but, with the right support and the right habits, you can definitely achieve what you want to and be positive about what you're trying to do, and it happens.
The thing that folks would often come up and say to me is, why would I want to put my son or daughter in the military, particularly with the way that our government treated us in Vietnam or with the civil rights movement. You had folks who went and served in World War II and even before that, but in more recent memory, Vietnam in particular, right? And then came back home and still were kind of struggling for a lot of these rights that they were entitled to. I was able to have the conversation because I had been over there fighting, and I came back and I said, listen, I've been over there, I've done it, and I've felt support since I've gotten back. People have treated me well, and I felt the support while I was in the service, not without challenges. Definitely had a number of racially tinged challenges while I was in service. But it was helpful to be able to tell them my experience as a millennial veteran, so to speak.
There's this kind of archetype in a lot of people's minds that, to be a veteran or to be in the military is only to be a white male with a square jaw and have bullets flying past you, right? And that's the only people who are patriotic. When in actuality, people who serve are so diverse, and even folks who don't sign up to serve are also patriots. As we saw with COVID, the folks who are on the front lines as first responders are really servants.
Speaking of patriotism, one of the questions I had for you all was kind of taking it back to 2016 and Colin Kaepernick. He began protesting during the national anthem. What was your reaction to that moment?
Today we revere folks like Dr. King and Gandhi and Nelson Mandela and so many others. But these folks were not uniformly praised when they were doing the things they were doing back then, right? It took for them a lot of moral courage and also physical courage, because they were putting their lives in the line to defend those ideals they held, very closely. So to your point, I think more people are seeing today why Colin was protesting and continues to protest. And in many ways, I think history will judge that he was on the right side of this, and he, in many ways, helped to spark a second civil rights era that probably starts with the killing of Trayvon Martin, and not sure when it ends. So it'll end when we have, full rights under the law.
The violence is not new. The extrajudicial killing is not new. The cameras are, right? And now people are just seeing that, this is a reality. I have to believe that if COVID didn't happen, then nobody would know George Floyd's name. The fact that people were at home having to see the news and kind of around it every day, it was brought to the forefront for them to really see in real time over and over the humanity that is stripped from everyday citizens.
That's mind-blowing to me, to think that we might be at that juncture in our history where we need to re-examine all of that, all of our existing, policies. So this is a segment of the show called Mavens Moment. So he's finally going to get his moment here to ask you questions, and then he's going to move on.
Mavens Moment.
Would you like to be president?
I'm just now getting kind of educated on how this whole presidency works by having my first chance to work in a presidential administration. I think there would be a lot of cool things about being president, but I also see President Obama's gray hair and how quickly the presidency aged him. It's something, people ask sometimes when, like Dan and I, we went to West Point and then we go to graduate school and we're interested in politics, and folks ask us that. But I think there's a lot of ways to give back.
How was it in the Army?
I'd say in the Army it was fun, and I'd say inspiring. I think David and I were both privileged to be in leadership roles as commissioned officers after West Point for about 5.5 years, and it was a fun time. You get to travel, you get to serve your country, you get to lead folks. So it was definitely a fun time, but also I would say it was challenging. It definitely tested your limits, and you had to figure out really what you were made of, and also how to really inspire a whole team to accomplish tasks. It was a lot of fun. I definitely enjoyed it.
Thank you for coming on Mavens Moment. Goodbye. I'm gonna go play in the water. Peace.
Mavens Moment.
Interesting fact about David. I don't know if people know you're a bit of a hip hop mogul. And, he said
I think mogul's being generous.
He was a clerk in LA by day, but hip hop mogul by night, owning his own record label. Is that correct?
Yeah, and publishing company.
So I want to have some fun with you all. There's always a great debate about the best hip hop artist of all time. So this is for both of you. I'm gonna start with you, David. Who's on your Mount Rushmore for hip hop? Greatest rappers of all time.
Jay-Z's definitely up there. I mean, I'm a New Yorker. Gotta rep Jay-Z. I mean, if I'm trying to get hyped, I mean, DMX is definitely on the list, right? That's if you're going hard, you see that hill in front of you, you just start to run harder. DMX is probably on your playlist, right? I definitely grew up listening to 50 Cent. Those are kind of the three that I kind of grew up with, Then there are plenty of others who are, making great strides today, but I'm going to keep it old school.
I mean, you could even just say, Biggie, Tupac, Big L, Big Pun, right? And you can just make a Mount Rushmore of those four. And folks, who we lost to early, right? So I think Big Pun particularly, he's super underappreciated, but it's just, and even Big L, unless you're, kind of from the East Coast, you don't know who that is.
What are the one or two people or moments that have inspired you the most?
I think for me, the person who I've been reading a lot up on, particularly in foreign policy, is Ralph Bunche. So Ralph Bunche was the first Black man to get a PhD in political science in America. He had it from Harvard University, was a scholar and an athlete while he was at UCLA, got the Nobel Peace Prize for being an intermediary while he was at the UN in the Middle East. And, he was a particular individual that was able to champion foreign policy while simultaneously fight for civil rights and equality. And I think that's always a motivation for me, is as much as I, enjoy and constantly reading and ingratiate myself in national security, there is it's, national security to what end? And right, why are you maintaining the system? It's for the opportunity of equality.
Leading troops in combat was definitely a challenge that I welcomed in a lot of ways. There were moments over there for sure.
Hold on one second.
Mel's gonna get fired.
Sprinkler.
Okay.
Not doing what it does yesterday.
Okay. Can you ask your dad about that?
Sure.
Where's he at? Close
He
the door,
left.
please.
He
Oh,
left.
he left?
Mavens Moment.
And let me just thank you too again. I've said it publicly, but I'll say it again. Just thank you for your service to our country. I know the best is yet to come. You all are very humble, but I will say it on your behalf. You come from great stock. I admire your parents so very much. I've learned so much from them too. And I just thank you all for sharing what has been instilled in you over these early years of your life, in family, in career, and in service. So just thank you for being a guest on Cold Call. Thank you to our audience for watching. This won't be the last you see of these two or hear from them. Like I said earlier, we don't know what the future holds, but we know it's going to be one that's right for David and Dan. So thank you again for joining us. And I'll see you next time.
I love nobody.